Good morning, everybody. I'd like to just call the meeting to order for our Human Resource and Safety Committee meeting agenda. We will immediately go into our, so I don't think we need to do a prayer or anything. Okay. Immediately go into our printed agenda. First of all, is anyone sign up for public comment?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. First on our agenda is approval of our minutes from June 1st, 2017. We all got a copy of those minutes recently, and as I was looking through them, well, are there any additions or deletions to those minutes? If there are, we entertain that. If not, I entertain a motion for approval.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of the minutes. All in favor? Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that motion carries. Our next item is item number 2, HR policy revision. Mr. John Donahue is presenting.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
In your package, you'll find a memorandum containing several amendments to the human resources policies that are a result of the changes in the compensation plan that were adopted by the Commission back in April of this year. If you recall, part of that change in the compensation plan was an extension of the introductory period from 6 months to 1 year. Most of these changes have to do with that. So quickly going through these, first page, section 1.2-3 is in the definitions. It extends or defines the introductory period as 1 year of service rather than 6 months. The second page is section 3.3-1. Again, that's a change from 6 months to 1 year. The next section is 3.4-1. Introductory period, change from 6 months to 1 year. And here it added the employees have access to up to 30 hours of vacation time and 30 hours of sick time immediately upon hire. The introductory period, since it was extended to a year, will have quarterly benchmarks. And the paragraph 2A addresses those changes. And then paragraph 2G also addresses the quarterly benchmarks during the introductory period. The next page is section 3.5, transfers and promotions. Again, this is a change from 1 year to 1 year from 6 months. The section 4.2, annual leave, has effective 4/24. The new employees have immediate access to 30 hours of paid vacation time during the introductory period. And then section 2.3A addresses the issue that if a employee leaves having used more than the amount of time that they get accrued during the time of their employment, that will be returned to the JWSC in their final pay. Section 4.3 is essentially this, for sick leave is essentially the same as for vacation pay. They're allowed 30 hours at hire to use during the introductory period. And section, paragraph 3-A is that if they use more than they have accrued, that will be repaid to JWSC, both in accordance with FLSA guidelines. The next section, 4.4, is paid holidays. There was some question about the observance of the Christmas holidays when they fall on weekends. We added paragraph C that holiday observance calendar will be prepared and posted annually by January 15th of each year to make it clear as to which days will be observed for the holidays that are observed by JWSC. Section 4.14, again, is a change from 6 months to 12 months. The pay plan, Section 6.2, the pay structure will be adjusted annually by the CPI as approved by the BGJWSC during the budgeting process. Then 6.23C, employees will receive a COLA in the first full pay period of the fiscal year of July of each year. That, again, is in accordance with the compensation plan previously adopted. The Section D, any increases in pay will be made during the pay period in which the employee's anniversary date falls. So we have a 2-week pay period, so if it falls on the first day or the 13th day, any increases are recognized for the full pay period. We changed from merit to step increases in the evaluation, and then okay, and then section, pardon?
That's just a new paragraph.
Then section F is a new paragraph that increases both the COLA and adjustments to the pay scale, pay grades will be in accordance with the budget and determined by the commission at their discretion.
So should you change the merit in a sentence later to step also,
Where's that?
in that paragraph E?
Oh, yeah, merit should be a step as well. You're talking about highlighted one?
No, the one after that.
Come on,
There's one
Second
after
to the
that.
last one.
Yeah. You see,
Yeah, something like that, change.
and then pay plan, the completion of the introductory period, employees are eligible to receive a pay increase on the evaluation score. This again is a score of 3 or below. Or score of 3 meets standards, 1 and 2 are below standard or very below standard, 3 and 4 would qualify the employee for a step increase. And then section 7.1, performance evaluations. Again, during the introductory period, we report every reviews, we quarterly benchmarks for each employee at 3, 6, and 9 months of service leading up to their 1-year anniversary. Section 7.1 C, 1 month prior to review, the employees take to their evaluating supervisor a listing of what they believe are their accomplishments throughout the year to be in, the evaluator can include into their annual review.
Okay. Why do we have the word merit in merit review? Why don't we just say review?
Prior to their review.
Is that better?
Okay, then finally is new hires in the introductory period of, again, that's 12 months rather than 6 months of employment.
Oh, yeah. We also need to change paragraph 7. We're going to drop the word merit just to have review dates.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Mr. Duffy, I want to thank you for doing this for the commission, for going over this, for changing the introductory period, which afforded us an opportunity to look at all the HR policies. And in doing so, I had opportunity to read through some of them, and of course, I have some issues, some concerns, I guess, with some of them. So, but if we hadn't done this, I would have never got a chance to dwell into them as I did.
Cindy Barnhart took care of most of the, going through the policy and noted the changes necessary because of the change in compensation plan. She has that and reviewed them before they presented to the commission.
Well, good. Then I guess my comments would be directed towards her in a sense as well. I asked as we go through our discussion here on some of the issues, and I really believe that it probably will be you and I discussing how we can satisfy some of the concerns that I do have about our policies and how they relate to our employees. Anyhow, Commissioners, we have heard the presentation by Mr. Donahue concerning the changes we have made to our HR policy. Although they're not all that needs to be changed, but this is what has been presented, and the fact that HR is a continuing improvement as you deal with employees for professional development anyhow. I think where we are now with the decision we made with our introductory period, how it affected these policies, that we are here at to make a decision to either move forward with what's been presented or to delay it and wait for others. I feel that we need to go ahead and move forward. That's my recommendation.
Move forward on this to the
Yes.
full commission?
Yes.
All of the changes that I agree. That's
These are mostly all technical corrections based on the change
on
in
that decision,
compensation.
just implements that decision.
Yes.
One second.
All right, motion second that we move forward to bring this up to the full commission later on, later on today. Any further discussion on it? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we're moving right down the line to our discussion. Our employee benefit package, health benefits. I asked this to be brought to our discussion, so please talk to us about it.
Okay, so as you all know, we renewed the health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, and other employee benefits on March 1st of this year. We did have a new carrier that we went to. As you all know, but I'll do a quick refresher. Since its inception, Joint Water and Sewer was with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And with fair and low renewals, we remained with Blue Cross and Blue Shield until 2015, when the annual RFPs finally brought to fruition a carrier that actually saved Joint Water and Sewer $97,000 from what it was paying prior, not including the renewal, which would have been an increase of about $300,000. At that time, we did move to Cigna. Not only was there a savings, but it was the type of plan, being a fully self-funded, where you could share in rebates if you had a good claims year. Fortunately, that next year was a good claims year, and $110,000 in rebates was received by Joint Water and Sewer. That was all well and good until the following year, when we had a poor claims year and ended up with a 23% increase. And although we were able to negotiate that down to 13.5%, it was still $250,000 more of an increase to Joint Water and Sewer to stay with Cigna. Therefore, Blue Cross, who had the lowest bid this past year, was the winning bid, and we did move back to Blue Cross. You currently have two plans that you offer the employees. One is a $500 deductible plan, and if you will turn to your packet, you actually have the summary of benefits of both options in your packet. They're the stapled blue top. Everyone has one? Okay. And so you'll see that of the $500 and the $1,000 deductible, both have $25 and $50 copays, which are considered low in the market currently. One has a $2,000 out of pocket, the other has a $4,000 out of pocket, which includes the deductible. So your employees actually have two very low deductible, low out of pocket, and low copay options, all with a drug card. And in the market right now, the average deductible is somewhere in the $2,500 to $3,500 range. So the fact that your employees have a 500 and 1,000, that still tends to be very low. You heavily fund the $1,000 deductible, and then the employees are able to buy up to a lower deductible. In addition, while other employers are having to pass some of those increases on to their employees, because we've been fortunate enough to bid this out and move it properly, not only have you all not had increases like others have, you also have not had to pass that down to your employees. So this year, your employees' deductions either stayed the same or actually went down a bit. So we've been very fortunate to be able to manage the plan the way that we have. Unfortunately, there are always transition issues, and this year we certainly had some. I'm not aware of any that are outstanding, and because it is a public situation, we have to be very careful about anything we discuss specifically. But I will say that one of the issues that we found was that Southeast Georgia Health System changed their group of emergency room doctors as of January 1 this year. And that group is a wonderful group of doctors, and they're out of Florida. However, they had a Blue Cross and Blue Shield contract with Florida. They assumed or had worked out a way that it was going to transfer. Well, guess what? It didn't. And so we ended up receiving, or Daphne at Teamwork in the Human Resource Department received multiple claims, and we found that although Southeast Georgia Health System was in network, that the doctor indeed was not and paid out of network, which that full deductible was going towards the employee. I actually contacted the CEO, and fortunately he's quite accessible to many of us, and worked with him personally and that emergency room company to turn those claims around. They have all been turned around. We received the last one on Tuesday. We had it turned around within 2 hours between the CEO and the emergency room company to where they were charged the proper amount. And so what they did is they went back and didn't file the claim, but paid the claim as if it were in network and ate the difference. So the cost difference may have been a $60, $70, $150, whatever that charge was going to be. And we have since turned that information back over to the employees. As of July 1st, that emergency room company signed, and their contract is complete with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So going forward, we will not have any issues. And actually, because of this issue, Southeast Georgia Health System is reaching out to their other Blue Cross and Blue Shield people that are covered by that company and asking them if they had claims such as that. So I guess we uncovered a little bit of an issue, but we did find a solution for it. We have had a few people that have had some issues with prescriptions, because with each and every carrier, you're going to have a list of formulary prescriptions. The reason that you have a list like that is because the insurance company is working on cost containment. So obviously, if the doctor puts you on a medication for the first time, they're hoping you're not going to go on the $3,500 a month injectable, but maybe the $60 pill. And so there are things in place and little compliance issues and hoops to jump through that you have to try other things before you try a more expensive medication. Or you have to get what's called an override, which means your doctor has to either call into the insurance company or submit medical necessity information. And we have found that there have been some who have not felt it necessary to take those additional steps with their doctor, but maybe were still unsatisfied that their medication wasn't covered as it would have with the other carrier. Unfortunately, there are going to be times that we have to ask the employee to do something that takes a step. Maybe they have to call the doctor, or something that's considered a private issue that we are not able to be a part of. We do on the back end try to help them through every step of the way. Daphne has conference called. Last week I was having a conversation with them while an employee's ex-wife, who was working at a convenience store, was on the phone with Teamwork asking about the child's coverage and medication while having them hold while she rang up customers. So I cannot imagine another situation where you could have more of an opportunity of people that are willing to help the staff in any way that is necessary. But there are going to be times that we have to have the employees go back to their doctors. They're few and far between, and we don't see it very often. But when we do, we're happy to help them through it, but there might be a little bit of legwork, which we know is hard on the job when they're working during the workday. So, were there any questions that the commission had about any of the particular benefits on the medical before Daphne goes over the non-medical?
No, I think basically you explained the issue that was at hand. And one only question with me was, I would hope that these things were explained during orientation.
Well, sir, unfortunately, during orientation, what we do every time we move is we do network testing. So we actually look in each of the areas and compare doctors' lists and hospital lists. So we did that comparison and there was no issue. We had no way of knowing that the new emergency room group was going to not be in network because the policy of the hospital per the CEO is if you are an exclusive contract holder at this hospital, you must take all insurances that this hospital takes. So it was a fluke, and quite honestly, because of you all, we made them aware when they were unaware.
Right, you just say that it was something you discovered.
Yes, sir.
Discovery and taking liberty to close that loop or to close that.
Yes, sir.
gap.
And I promise you, we do everything we can in orientation because it's so much easier to explain to someone on the front end what the obstacles are going to be than explain on the back end why you didn't do your job. So we really do try to make sure that if there are issues such as that we explain it on the front end so we can say, hey, you saved $250,000, but you're gonna have this to contend with. So,
And during open enrollment, I mean, it's never easy to transition from one insurance company to the other, but during open enrollment, I tell them, make sure, you know, if you're taking a medicine, go ahead and get it filled before the end of the month, before we transition, just because there are times where if you go into a new insurance carrier, they're gonna ask you to do that pre-authorization that you have to do if it's an
Right.
controlled medicine.
Right.
So we kind of give them all heads up, try to go ahead and do that prior, just because it may take you a week to get that authorization done, just between you getting the paperwork to your doctor and your doctor getting it to the insurance company and it getting approved. We also give them, in a booklet that I provide them, a way to look up doctors to make sure that their doctors are in network, and if they're not, to come to us and we can work with that doctor to try to get them in network, as well as provide them access to the full formulary of medicine, so they can look that up to make sure that's covered as well.
Are you having success with employees coming to you, asking those questions and you know, one-on-one or in a group setting?
I have a lot of employees that do call me to ask to look up doctors, or if they have an issue, they call and speak to us, and most of the time we're able to get it resolved really quickly. There's always a few that take a little bit longer, and of course the ER issue, we had to dig a little bit deeper with the hospital and find out, because initially we were told they were a network, which they thought they were. So we had to go back and prove, hey, you're saying you're in network, we're seeing claims that aren't. So, first we had to prove that, but, typically we have a good rapport with most of the employees, and, they don't mind coming to me and talking.
Well, what is the percentage of our employees who take our health care? Or what is the percentage of people who don't?
out of the 145 employees, I think we have around 95 employees that take it.
Okay.
Yeah, most everyone takes it. The few that don't take it typically have trachea or something like that.
Right, okay. Have other
Bless
things.
them, yes. So, and on any of, do you want to add any of the non-medical?
Did you want me to discuss the non-medical?
Commissioners? No?
It's all really good, and it was a 0% increase.
By transitioning
year.
over to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we were able to negotiate a little increase that we did have down to a 0, so that was all good news.
One
So-
question, Lieutenant,
Yes.
you said that last year or year before, we got a rebates of about $20-some thousand, I think.
$110,000.
And this year, it
This year,
increased.
we would have had an increase by moving, if we had stayed with Cigna, we would have had an increase of $241,000 to stay with Cigna. So if we had left everything the way that it was and stayed with Cigna, it would have been $241,000. Some of that would have been passed on to the employees.
And no rebate at all, just because of ongoing
Right.
issues.
We have some issues. So instead, we moved to Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and instead of spending up $241,000, we actually saved $34,000 from what you were paying currently, and still gave the employees a rich plan. A little more lead work, a little more difference to get. It's interesting, when we were with Blue Cross and Blue Shield and made the change to Cigna, we had a lot of rumblings. There were a lot of people that were very unhappy. And when we went back to Blue Cross, we thought, well, finally, everybody's gonna be happy. And they were not, they were rumbling. So I think when you get comfortable with something, especially with the pre-authorizations, and now you have some additional things to do, so change is difficult overall. So, you know, anything that we can do to make it easier. And Daphne is being,
That's why they raised the rates. Gotcha.
so Daphne's being kind when she says it, but she receives a lot of calls on things, and so we try to make that accessible.
Yeah, I also noticed, while I was just listening to you say that if we had stayed with the Cigna, we would have had to have an increase, and that would have been passed on to the employees. But we also had a rebate. Did you pass any of those savings to the employee?
Yes, we did. Generally on the rebates. Last year we had rebates, since I've been here, didn't we have a rebate one year that we took half of it and gave it back to the employees?
We did,
Yeah.
yeah. We split the savings with the employees' age.
And lowered the cost of the deductions, which is nice.
That's what I'm going at.
And this year, switching to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we were able to keep we actually lowered the base plan, which is $1,000 deductible plan. It was $32. It went down to $29 and some change.
Okay.
And then the other plan stayed the same at
That's what I'm
$45
looking
a
for,
check.
pass that on to the employees.
So they actually are the same or better this year as far as what comes out of their paycheck.
Okay.
We actually didn't cut checks back to the employees for that. We adjusted it through the amounts that they contributed.
All right. So I didn't get my 15-cent check or whatever like that? Okay. Thank you, that's fine. Commissioner, we're gonna move right along, I think, unless anyone have any comment or discussion on it. No? Okay, thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2 is the education assistant and incentive policy. Ms. Bonhart is presenting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The education assistance and incentives is section 5.6 of the employee handbook, and it does provide learning opportunities for existing eligible for this that have been employed for 1 year of regular employment. The program provisions, the employee may be reimbursed for the cost of tuition and books upon completion of job-related course, which is required while advancing toward a degree from an accredited institution which is related to their current position, or which will prepare that employee for other career assignments with joint water and sewer. Education reimbursements will be provided in any year based upon available funding, so based on budgetary incentives with joint water and sewer. There is a request form that employees are to complete and submit for signatures prior to beginning any kind of education. I did bring copies of that.
I'd like to see that, please.
Sure. So that does give some information about cost, the curriculum, the course of study that would be necessary to be approved before they could begin attending that educational outreach. The reimbursement's the standard based on grade. The grade that the employee does attain, the reimbursement for an A would be 100%, a B at 85%, a C at 70%, with a D there is no reimbursement. And of course, it does require documentation from that employee, the student, and that they must be an active employee. The time reimbursement is made is also specified. And employees who terminate employment, whether by resignation or discharge, will be required to repay any reimbursement made within the previous 24 months. Again, so that there's no conflict of interest with their current position, with their employer. Classes need to be scheduled during off-duty hours whenever possible. Should a required class not be available during off hours, the employee may request to use vacation time to attend that training. They must obtain approval from the division head and the director prior to enrollment. Approval will be considered dependent upon work demands and available staffing. So the college is that first part of it. The second part, section 2 on the second page, 5.6.2, there is incentives for an employee attaining their GED and also for their CDL driver's license. For the GED, it is a one-time $200 incentive, and we do have employees that do take advantage of that. For the CDL license, which is also a requirement on several of the job descriptions, that an employee that comes on board would have to obtain their CDL within 1 year or 2 years. So there is a monetary incentive for that. On Section 3, other training and development, regular full-time employees will be eligible to participate in job-related training and development programs. Division heads will provide adequate on-the-job training for new and existing employees, such that skill levels will continually improve. Joint Water and Sewer will make every effort to provide financial support for that training as funds allow. The employee is expected to take initiative to identify training opportunities and share the cost of those should that be necessary. In addition, employees are encouraged to pursue training and education that may not necessarily be related to their current positions in preparation for promotion. Section B, employees who wish to participate must submit a request to their immediate supervisor. Must be able to show that it is job-related and cost and the anticipated benefit to their employer.
Thank you, Ms. Barhart. The issue I have with this process is, as I hear you, as I read it, and I hear you state it too, it seems to be a two-step process, in that an employee requests for reimbursement, requests in the beginning to ask to take the classes and identify the classes before they actually take the class, and the supervisor or division, whatever, gives approval for that, saying that they will, that's fine and everything be fine. And then they come back again, say, I've taken these classes, I obtained this grade, whatever, and then that's when they get reimbursed. Yes, but our form just states one time that it come here. I don't see this second part of it as in what they get reimbursed. It's saying that they are asking to take the class, but it doesn't really state that when they come back with, I guess, their grade attached to it and so forth like that. Maybe I don't, yes, John.
If I may, Commissioner, when the employee finishes the course, they come back to the finance department with their grade report and fill out a check request with the check request, that grade that they obtained and the percentage.
So basically, this form here is saying that the supervisor agrees, or everybody agrees that is a class they can take.
Yes.
And that it'd be fine. And then once they complete that class, just one time, once they complete that, it's a done deal.
Once that approval is made, then that gives direction to the finance department to reimburse based on the schedule within the policy.
All right, that's fine. So who has the final authority to actually approve this request?
It comes to me on the front end.
Okay. So any one of your supervisors, whatever, say no, they can't do it, and then it goes to you, and you override that or whatever. Yes, that's, you're the final
I'm the
authority.
final, regardless of what they say,
Okay.
yes or no, I'm in, but they have to approve before I do.
All right, so my question is, okay, and the money's coming out of your budget or the division budget?
Divisions.
Then why the division don't have authority to spend their money on money? If it needs to be come out of your budget, you need to have all the money set aside, that this is the education policy, this is the money, and it'll be personal.
I guess it's kind of like a lot of things where the director might have the big picture view of what needs to go on and the final determination of whether it really does meet the utilities' overall purposes to provide that education assistance.
True, I understand that too, and what you're saying though, you reach down and take money out of somebody's budget, you say they say no, the person can't or whatever. That's the line of supervision seems to be blurred here as far as.
Not I don't, the way I perceive it, Commissioner, is that in my role, I'm going to make the decisions for the better good of the utility. But it's not just in this instance. In fact, where there might be a case where one division runs out of rehab and repair money,
Right.
and another division's got excess during the calendar year or during the fiscal year, I'm gonna move that money. I'm not gonna ask their permission. I'm gonna move that
I
money.
understand that, so therefore, the money should be in your department, you'd be the one to say yes, no, you know.
No, not necessarily.
That really makes sense. They can, once they come to you anyhow, it comes to you to do it. So if it's coming out of budget, no, excuse me, normally, this money would be in the HR budget. However, our HR has been contracted out, so therefore it won't be there, or it will be in the finance division. But since HR is contracted out, we would not give money to somebody else to manage our funds like that. To manage what we do with our employees, that wouldn't make any sense. So therefore, it has to be, as you say, with the division, so each division has a pocket of money for training or
And that would work too.
education.
And even on the, and I will say this too, aside from educational assistance, one of the other education options that we have is for the guys to go to special trainings and to
I
conferences.
understand that makes,
So
But
we
we're talking about-
budget some training and education monies in that line. If an employee knows they're coming up on a bona fide educational assistance opportunity, that needs to be programmed in as part of the education. Generally, coming through their supervisor would be the most direct way to make sure that gets accounted for. Although we can push the onus back to them to make sure it goes to the finance director to make sure the finance department's budget includes it. It's doable. It's very doable.
well, to me, approval at the lowest level is basically a good thing, since it's coming out. If it was my money, you know, I like to have people approval of that. Well, I would say my money, but my division's money, and I'm managing my division. Okay, so I may have that, you know, here for something else or something. But now you have been the one to say, no, this person's gonna go. Even though that's your authority to do that as overall ED. But if you don't go back and talk to the superintendent, say, look, we need to do this, whatever, it kind of makes things murky.
Yeah.
It really makes supervision
I hear what you're saying.
murky.
But in most situations, I'm not a closed-minded person. Maybe for some people in this role, it would be a difficult situation to work through. But if they were in the situations you're putting out there, oh, we got this, and this is gonna help us, and here's why, I'm gonna listen to them. If my priorities, you know, we're gonna go back and forth. It's not gonna be a one-sided, you know, it's my way or the highway. I'm gonna listen to them and determine if there is a legitimate argument to do differently than what I'm perceiving. I try to anyway.
Okay. Well, I see that you and I probably need to discuss this some more, because I do have an issue with it. Commissioners, you have any comments? I don't want to get into a dialogue directly with the executive director.
You know, I'm trying to follow this because I haven't really thought about this at all, so it's kind of.
I guess you might say the fact that, you know, HR is my business.
I know.
So I'm really passionate, especially about education as well, about reimbursement for education.
I think if I understood your point is that where we seek higher education for an employee, that ought to be managed at a different level.
Right.
If the executive director is going to be the final authority. And then it seems like to me that there ought to be kind of two categories of funding here. There's that for higher education,
Yes.
which has a broader perspective on it. And then there's direct job-related training,
Yes.
which the superintendent
Yes.
should manage.
Should we then, to follow up on what you're saying, Commissioner, should we put the higher education money in my budget so that I am, as the policy says, I don't have a problem with
Well,
that?
that's basically what I was saying, because basically, you know, you have that final approval for that anyhow. That's what basically, and if the superintendent says, I don't have the money, well, the money is not his anyhow. It's already in your budget to decide whether that person can or cannot go.
We can do
But
that.
however, superintendent still has the authority to say, well, no, I don't think this is necessary. But you, as the executive director said, overall, it will make better sense for this person to have this.
Sure.
You know, about like, you know, I think some of our employees go on to get master's degrees, although there's none needed basically required, I guess, in our.
It's not required.
Right, but professional development makes it better, and maybe there, and also this form explains as to why getting a master's degree will help the joint.
Yeah.
I agree, I agree.
And I think another thing, if he has a budget and he's trying to decide whether, or she is trying to decide whether to support somebody's desire for higher education or buy widgets to make his mission, I don't really want the superintendent to have to worry about that trade-off. He should say, yeah, the employee can have the time, to do this, but I think that's it's a higher level decision on the actual resourcing of that. Now, if the person needs to have these license and
That's
training
definitely
to
right.
do
You're
that,
right. They got-
then that
Oh,
should be in
yeah,
his
that's
budget.
right. Yeah, gotta do that.
Because he has to have that for his mission. The other one's not really, it's kind of mission related, but it's really kind of,
It could enhance the mission.
yes.
Also with that, and we will discuss this, you and I too, about if an individual gets reimbursed from federal funds or something like that, then why should the joint pay for that, pay them back? It shouldn't,
Shouldn't.
no, we should pay for something that they're not getting reimbursed for,
And,
Yeah,
because we're trying to help them in a sense.
and
right?
that's something we need to watch for, because
Exactly.
if we're hiring people who are former service people, they have access to the GI Bill.
Right.
Which right now, I don't know what all that pays for, but they shouldn't be
doing a
getting
good job.
two
screening.
payments for one class.
We'll talk about it, you and I, to make sure, and also to make that, to tighten that up, I believe.
We don't make the employees, if they're taking classes that are directly related to their jobs and could have a direct impact, we don't make them take vacation time if it's like a class during the day, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, it says here, when a required class is not offered, right, the employee may request to use vacation time.
That is education, in other words, they're getting their bachelor's degree or getting some training. Like that's what
Beyond
that-
required.
Beyond that. The other, the specialized training classes
Okay.
is something that we have to do, like, they got to get certification or whatever, certification training, then we make sure they have that time to do that.
Okay.
That's what I assume.
For,
Is
like,
that
for
correct?
professional licensing and to attain licenses for their job title, that's work time, yes.
And we have a requirement that everybody gets licensed, and so we pay for all that licensing.
Right.
We encourage them to go through the whole steps.
Right. In the past, required license, we paid for the training, we paid for the test twice.
Yeah,
Beyond that, you
Then-
probably done
then-
exceeded your
yeah.
time, because we had a time limit of maybe 1 year, 15 months in order to attain that. If you have exceeded that time, then by all means, we'll let you go. And if that position is still open in the past where it was open and that individual went and did it on their own, we rehire them back with no time lost. But we got to establish some kind of timeline. This is basically something that we came from the city, but we didn't put it in stone. We have gotten to the point now that license is required in all of our areas.
that's right.
So therefore, the timeline is there, but we have exceeded that by years. Basically, we have given them more training on top of training before we even thought about letting them go.
Is this dealing with water and wastewater?
Water and wastewater.
Okay,
And
then we
collection.
all need to get together and we can look at that, the timeline, the timing for one thing.
I mean, for the execution of
Yes.
passing
Yeah.
their licenses.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, we have people that are still on board that should have been let go because they didn't make their license period. But we have such a hard time finding people to fill their shoes, so to speak. It's basically to our advantage to
Right.
keep them on board and keep trying with them to get the proper licensing.
Right.
If the marketplace were providing people, that had that capability, and we didn't have a problem with that, then probably we would shuffle them off and say next,
True.
so to speak.
And can I say that this is, at the conference we were at this week, one of the issues that came up a lot and this is a discussion we'll need to have offline
Right.
as well, but some interesting feedback on this very concern.
Yes.
Is becoming an industry-wide concern. I mean, it's not just us.
I understand, and you're right, I've dealt with that too as well.
Yeah.
I don't realize how the market goes, there's an employee market or there's an employee market, it all depends, employee or employee. And sometimes it happens, and we got to be willing to adjust our status or our operation towards that. Yes. Okay.
Commissioners, I think too, alluding to what Mark and Mr. Junkin have said, that we've had a couple instances where someone has paid for additional tests for an exam for a license on their own and still didn't pass it. And that if there was an open position in another division, they've been able to transfer because they could not meet that requirement for their current position.
Okay.
So you have your advance permission that, of seeking training. There's also a college reimbursement program sheet. Employees who have completed that, of course, they have to be here a year to try for this. You may be reimbursed for cost of tuition and books, job-related or advanced degree. It goes through the application steps. Documentation of grades and expenses must be presented and attached to a request for reimbursement. Your supervisor or director must approve these requests for a reimbursement prior to submission for payment. And you, of course, must be in for an employee. So I would think that the documentation they would receive would show the grants that they had and things like that. So their actual expenses would be what would be submitted and analyzed by the finance department.
Sure.
Okay, now then you said that there's the form that they seek for reimbursement which goes to finance? Is that correct?
It's the same.
It usually goes through the finance, and we do the communications on it, and then have the superintendent sign off on
Okay, why does the superintendent have to sign off on it again?
it. So that they're aware of the cost that's going to get back against their budget.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, but I think we're gonna move that,
Yeah.
and that would be required. And you're kind of the manager of that budget. But the other thing that we need to add in there is a statement by the employee that he is not seeking reimbursement from other sources. And I think that that's a key point that needs to be on that form that he signs.
I have that noted here.
We'll work it out and bring it back.
I'll call him. Get him.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is item number 3, recruiting and termination stats. Wayne?
All right, so I did it a little differently this time. I provided a couple of charts here, but on the first page, the table for the current job postings, there are 8 total positions posted. The deputy executive director was reposted as of July 11th on all of the same media outlets as the prior posting. And then all the other ones follow, and I've also listed the number of applications that we received for each. There was a customer service representative position posted. There were 12 applicants for that position. It was open from June 28th to July 7th. And I'm not sure of the interview status for that, but it has been closed. So we're still, looking at the applicants. Year to date, there have been 735 applications total. There have been 3 new hires since our last meeting. The wastewater maintenance mechanic, who was hired in June. The accounts payable coordinator, who was also hired in June. And then there was recently a customer information systems analyst who started on Monday of this week. There's an employment offer pending. Just received the executive director approval this morning, so I'll reach out to that candidate and make the job offer after I've created the offer letter and whatnot. Terminations with reasons, I didn't want to be too specific as to single anybody out on this, so I do have the departments for these terminations. One was wastewater treatment, one was systems pumping and maintenance, and one was water distribution. So there have been 3 terminations since our last meeting in May, or the last time I was here. The second page, I have a graph and a pie chart. For the number of applications, I just wanted to kind of do a comparison of the applications received last year in comparison to this year, just to see the different trends. I also did the pie graph here for the source statistics, because I do track where applicants find out about these positions, and I wanted to kind of give an idea of where they were learning of the positions that were posted, and most of them are coming from the website. And other includes, if they didn't answer it on their form, or if they just put Indeed, which I don't post anything on Indeed, but applicants put anything, so that's where the other, but most of them, the majority were from the Joint Water website. And a lot of people have signed up to get the email subscription, for the email subscription, so when the job's posted, they're notified.
Okay. I got a couple questions, maybe, John, you may answer this. Are the new hires, how many of these new hires are the new positions that we created, that we just established?
One of them, the customer information systems analyst, I believe.
Okay. All right. So we created, I think it was 3 positions, I believe, new positions. Haven't hired for the only justice for one, I believe. Right? Yes.
I think there might have been more than, there were more than 3, but there were 2 in my division. And
We had 3 in the planning and construction, and we had 2 finance and 2 system positions. 2 system pumping and maintenance positions.
Okay, we haven't hired the GIS analyst yet?
I'll be sending you applications for that today.
Okay. All right.
How long has this, the deputy executive director position actually been advertised?
Yeah, okay.
I believe, if I remember, I think it was originally posted in March or April.
Justin, I thought you said you was interviewing for that.
Yeah, in fact, there'll be more discussion privately this afternoon.
All right. Okay.
Any more questions?
No? Questions, commissioners? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next is safety and accident stats. I think there.
Good morning. As you can see from the form I put out, this year has been a really good year for us from a frequency standpoint. We had our 2nd injury of the year, of the calendar year last week. That gives us 2 total. In 2015 and 2016, this time of year, we're already at the 12 mark both years. So for summertime to have been started and we're still sitting at 2, we're definitely trending well. The caught between the first injury of the year was a severe injury, so that one will go against us pretty good for renewal, but the frequency is doing awesome. We have 3 open workers' comp claims still from 2016 that we're trying to get tidied away, and 1 from 14 that has been reopened. But that's really all from a work comp side that we have right now.
This is calendar year, right?
Calendar year, yes, sir.
Well, where is the person that I think lost some digits?
Caught between.
Caught between?
Yes, sir.
That's how you, I would never
I would never say that.
put that together. I apologize.
Just the way the insurance companies categorize things.
All right. Questions, commissioners? So in essence, our safety is being our percentages is really good or bad? What would you say?
Well, like I say, frequency-wise, we're outstanding. I mean, this is one of the better starts to a year that we've ever had, at least in my tenure, which is coming up on 6 years.
Right.
The 1 injury, from January is a severe one. So like I said, that cost incurred will still affect us. But as far as frequency, even the near misses are down.
Right.
I used to get something every week. I rarely get anything now. Our number of incidents that we go over in the safety committee are way down. We got the safety stand down next Wednesday. A lot of good things happening, and we're starting to see results from that.
And you know, I was reading the policy manual. I'm glad it was sent around, so we got a chance to read it in depth because of the orientation thing. But I was reading it in there about safety toe shoes, about equipment that we give to employees, and also about thinking about safety and wearing the vest and so forth like that. And I realized there was something that was kind of, well, caught my eye was that we said in the policy that the supervisors or the division, what's called it, are responsible for ensuring that our employees have the safety equipment and wearing of the safety equipment.
Yes, sir.
And that if they don't do that, that those supervisors and, I guess, division leaders can be disciplined up to including termination. That was kind of strong. And I really like that because it shows that we care about the safety of our employees.
Yes, sir.
But are we really enforcing that? I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to the individual who got, you know, something happened to. I don't know whether it was because of lack of safety equipment or lack of whatever happened. However,
It was more of the process. I mean, he could have had on the best glove in America, and I don't think he's going to be any better than he is.
It's actually inattention.
Yes, sir.
okay, all right. So we are ensuring that
Yes,
we are
sir.
wearing our safety gear that we're supposed to.
The supervisors and department heads, if somebody comes in without their boots that they're required, or any safety equipment, they're supposed to make them clock out, go home and get it. And if they're not making them, if the supervisors aren't making them, then the superintendents, when they come through and see them, they should be getting onto the supervisors as well as the person not wearing it. And the write-up process should start after a verbal warning, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Commissioner Harvey, I will say that I personally, I was in the field doing some, inspections, that kind of thing this past week. And I personally observed a supervisor catching it
Okay,
over.
well, good.
I can't recall the last time, it's been years, that I was on a job site and saw someone not wearing what they should be wearing. Now, I don't go to one every month or anything
Right.
like that, but it has been years since I witnessed anybody not having the proper equipment on.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that because we really want to make sure our employees are safe and proper supervision is right. They need to get on. Now, do you have safety meetings that items such as this will be brought up or reiterated to employees?
Well, we have the weekly safety topic that
Okay.
the supervisors are supposed to go over with each of their personnel with, as well as new jobs or big jobs are about to begin. They're supposed to have a quick toolbox topic or tailgate meeting, if you will, about what you're about to do. Here are the pitfalls, here are the things that can get us in trouble, and here's what to do if we start to see that. And if anybody sees something they don't like, yell stop, and we'll all take a step back and see what we need to do to go forward.
Okay. Questions? Commissioner? All right. Thank you. All right, we'll come down to item number 5, 6, and 7, which is Director of Operations Position Responsibility, Deputy Director Position Responsibility, and Superintendent Position Responsibility. I asked for this to be put on the agenda mainly because I realized that we have a Director of Operations. I think she gave it to us. We have all that. And for lack of time, I don't think we need to go straight through this. What I really wanted was for us to look at ways that we can, this Director of Operations position, the responsibilities there, how some of those responsibilities can be shifted to the Deputy Director and also to the Superintendents, and therefore we won't need that. That's just what I want to look at some of the similarities. We're gonna be here all day discussing this right now, but I would like to discuss it at our next meeting, but I need for everybody to get a copy of responsibilities. Just go through it, take a look at it. Mr. Junkin will also give you his opinion about why it should be Director of Operations but take a look at similarities and duties, something that can be shifted down to deputy director and also to the superintendents. Should be some overlap there other than supervision, that's my opinion. So I don't want to go into discussion, we probably at the tail end of our meeting here, it's been about an hour. So we're gonna defer all that until our next meeting. Mr. Junkin, you got it here for the update, give us an update and we get out there.
The big update is, and we'll get into more detail at executive session this afternoon. I made my selection on the deputy director candidate, and that's what I was going to share more details about the selection process in person this afternoon in executive session,
Sure.
just to make sure everyone's informed of what I'm doing.
Sure.
And once I've informed you all this afternoon, I'll be pushing the offer to our candidate,
Sure.
who looks like an outstanding individual for the mix of things. And to your question a while ago, I've already got a hit list for this guy, so don't split him up too much. But he's got a tall list, but I think we've got the right individual to tackle that stuff. And as we went through and got to share a little bit of time with him, with several of the senior staff members, had an outstanding, everybody came away with a very positive impression of this individual. I think his energy and his drive and his technical knowledge and his experience in management, operations management, and administrative management. He is a very solid candidate, and he fits well with my plan of having a successor. So if the bus runs on Mary walking across the street this afternoon or next month, you guys will have somebody without having to blink. That's my hope.
Thank you, sir. And anything else you need to bring forward this meeting before we adjourn? All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Absolutely.
All right, second, all right. No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned.